A while ago, I was looking for a movie to watch on Netflix, and when I opened some, I noticed something. One was shaped like this, another one looked like this, and a third one was shaped like this. So I wondered, why aren't they all shaped in the same way? When you see an old movie, most of the time this will be the aspect ratio, 1:137, also named the Academy ratio. When TV came along, they based the format of TV shows on what they knew, and so the TV standard became something similar, 1:133. As a reaction, the film industry started using an aspect ratio that was been around for a while but not frequently used. The widescreen format, which could be 1:185 or 1:240. It was not until the mid-2000s before widescreen also became a TV standard, using 1:177 or better known as 16:9. This being said, why is it when I look for a film to watch in 2020, all these different formats open? One of the reasons is actually linked to this history lesson. The different formats remind us of different times. For instance, in the Grand Budapest Hotel, the three timelines in the movie all have different aspect ratios. The oldest one is set in the 1930s, one is set in the 1960s, and the third one in the 1980s. Even if you don't consciously see it, you still pick this up and it helps to set the tone of the movie. In the same way, an aspect ratio of 1:135 is used to give a film a more cinematic feeling. It's not a coincidence that these bars are one of the most used tricks by video makers. But it goes beyond that. Action movies, westerns and superhero movies almost always use a 1:235 ratio. But films that center around people's emotions almost never do. It's because the 1:235 bars also create an emotional distance between us and the characters. A thriller like Zodiac, where the mystery and the plot are more important than the character development, uses 1:235. A different kind of thriller, like Funny Games, that centers around human relations and that wants us to connect with the victims, uses 1:85. The purpose of the film defines what aspect ratio is used. Like the old 1:133 ratio, which is excellent for personal dramas. The box feeling enhances the mental discomfort of characters. For example, in the movie Cold War, it reflects the difficult relationship between the two main characters. In Girl is the limits of a trans boy that wants to be a girl. The film Mommy is about a troubled teenager, and the director uses the square format to isolate his characters, except in a few moments of hope where the square is widened. Another effect is that the composition of the shot changes, and thus also what we see as a viewer. The director of Cold War said it like this.
Although it's square, this format, you can create a world behind, so in this film especially we composed in depth, so there's kind of layers and layers of stuff that happens behind the heroes. I like to guide where the viewer is looking and to work by suggestion, so not to show everything, but to kind of hint at things that are happening out of shot.
The opposite of this we see in Hateful Eight, where Tarantino uses an aspect ratio of 1:276 to create that typical Western feeling.
The format of 70mm lends itself to this Western landscape, the size of the frame, the width of the frame.
It did take a minute to get a little bit used to the width of what this could see. But within that, it's just special. You can see a lot more than you're used to.
It's also very powerful to see something that big and how much detail you get. You just wouldn't think you'd be able to be in something like that again.
So the aspect ratio used depends on what the director wants us to see and what he or she wants us to feel. Regarding that, I sometimes wonder if a movie made the right choice regarding their aspect ratio. For instance, in the movie Room, a girl and her son are forced to live in a tiny space. The tiny space looks like this, so basically a shed in the garden. And my problem with this movie is that I don't believe it's a small space when I see it on screen, and I wonder if a different aspect ratio could change the feeling that I have when I see this movie. What if the scenes in the shed weren't in widescreen, but in Academy ratio? To me this feels more claustrophobic than the widescreen, and on top it gives the option to change the aspect ratio once they get out of the shed, strengthening the feeling of freedom. That's it for this one. I hope this made sense, and maybe next time when you wonder why that arty movie is in that weird format, you have the answer. Thanks for watching!